Hi there. Welcome to the Introduction to Web Development course. My name is Joseph, and I'll be guiding you to the wonderful world of web development. In this course, we will try to understand, is web development worth learning? And we're going to go through the following topics. First off, I'm going to establish, of course, my credibility, how I'm able to teach this. Then we're going to understand, what do web developers really do? Next is reasons for learning web development to entice you more on learning web development. And one of the most critical part and very difficult part to understand is, how does the web work? Next, requirements for web development. And then finally, some tips and tricks to further encourage you and make things easier for you. All right, so are you ready? Let's go. Before anything else, let me tell you who I am. I have taken up physical therapy, hoping to be a doctor, but I diverted to IT and learned computer studies at Informatics Computer College. I got an advanced diploma, and I also got certifications in Git and Drupal. Now, why did I get these? Git is an open source version control software and is used for managing and tracking file revisions. This is very critical for programming. So when you make some changes to your code, you'll be able to make sure that the old code is still there and the new code is uploaded in a very safe manner. So if ever something goes wrong, you can switch back to the old one. And this is also used for collaboration. So you can work with other developers. When they upload their own code, it doesn't mix with your own code. Does that make sense? Maybe when you take up a course also in Git, it'll make better sense. And associated with Git is GitHub. It works by uh, giving you a repository for your code and for your account. Now, I also got a Drupal certification. Drupal is a free and open source web content management system written in PHP and distributed under the GNU General Public License. Drupal provides an open source backend framework for at least 14% of the top 10,000 websites worldwide, ranging from personal blogs to corporate, political, and government sites. Now, I've also worked as a project manager for several web development companies, and I'm also a web developer for 10 years, specializing in front-end web development and WordPress. Now, what is front-end and what is WordPress? I'm going to tell you what front-end is later on. WordPress is pretty much similar to Drupal. It's also a content management system, but it's more popular than Drupal. Over 43.3% of all the websites on the internet is powered by Drupal. Yes, more than 1 in 4 websites that you visit are likely powered by WordPress. It's an open source content management system licensed under GPL version 2, so making it free. And a content management system, as I've been talking about, is basically a tool that makes it easy to manage important aspects of your site, like content. So you don't have to know anything about programming. The end result is that WordPress makes building a website accessible to anyone and easy to use, even for people who don't know how to program. Okay? So now we're going to talk about, what do web developers really do? Well, obviously, web developers build sites and they also maintain them. We often work for clients who are trying to get their product or service onto the web. It's very project focused and it involves collaborating with a team that helps to coordinate the client's needs into the product. The client could be a tech company, an organization, or a government. The work could involve front-end, back-end, or full-stack web development. Again, I'll explain this in a bit. But web development could really be a good profession for you if you like solving logical problems and you like making useful things and experimenting with new technologies. Web developers are very high in demand, generally have a good work-to-life balance, and command comfortable salaries. You can go ahead and Google your specific location to get a better sense of your local web development job opportunities. If you want to know more about web development, you can check out the entry by Wikipedia on web development. I'll share the link later on the notes. Now, what are the different types of web developers again? Like I said, there is the front end, the back end, and the full stack. Front end is what you see when you look at a website on a browser. This includes the content, the interface of elements like the navigation and the buttons, search bar, and so on. So front-end users or front-end developers use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and the relevant frameworks like Bootstrap to ensure that content is presented effectively and that users have an excellent experience. Front-end development is associated with UI or user interface and UX or user experience designing. So that's something that you might want to delve into later on if you want to focus on front end. Now, what is back end? Back end refers to the guts of the application. Sounds disgusting, right? No, but really, it's what makes a website work better, right? So the back end stores and serves program data to ensure that the front end has what it needs. This process can become very complicated when a website has millions of users. Back-end developers use programming languages like Java, Python, and Ruby to work with data. Now, full-stack web development is a mix of both front-end and back-end, hence the name full-stack. At advanced learning programs, we will focus on teaching you full-stack development covering all aspects of web development. Is that exciting? So, let's go ahead and learn why it's a good idea to learn web development. Obviously, each distinct day gives an opportunity to learn for you. It's a opportunity for you to progress, to advance, and do the things that push you towards your goals or that make you satisfied at the end of the day, giving you purpose. With this, if you want to step into the world of coding, or more specifically web development, then this course is for you. In this age of technology, you must have noticed that every popular business has its own websites that help the customer to locate the service you provide. Not only for businesses, but websites are also built for portfolios, blogs, funding, charities, events, and other activities. Without any doubt, a career in web development is indeed a great choice, especially in today's technology-driven world. In this course, we will explore the top reasons to learn web development. The beauty of web development is that we can put graphics, videos, images, and more on the website. But do you know that when web development was born, then we used to use hyperlinks and text only? Now, let's go ahead and go through the reasons for learning web development. First off, web development is very easy to learn. You only need two things to start it. One is a good computer, and the other is a good internet connection. Your journey will start with scripting languages like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and all the things that go with it, like Bootstrap, and building good-looking responsive websites with them. After a few miles, or as you progress, you will explore various areas in it, such as front-end and back-end web development. At some point, you will need the knowledge of programming, which you can easily develop by learning any relevant programming languages like Java, Python, and Ruby, as I said earlier. Sounds exciting, right? Very inviting. Next, programming is not just about coding. It also includes designing. So it can enhance your designing skills. Web development allows you to make use of your designing skills. Before going into the process of development, you have to think about its layout, the colors, the fonts, visual assets, and more. This means that you can develop or enhance your design skills. You can also enhance your creativity by learning from others' website designs present over the internet. A good website has a clean quality design and is very responsive. What I mean by that? What do I mean by that? When I say responsive is when you view a website on different devices, it will respond well and it will show the best view for that website on a particular device. All right, so that's a responsive website. That's what you call good user experience. All right. Next, of course, coding or web development makes you develop your problem-solving skills. It will give you the power to contribute to the world. Isn't that nice? You can develop or improve your problem-solving skills with it. If you have an idea in your mind that solves real-world problems, it will help you to create it. As a computer science student, if you have developed anything which has a good effect on the real world, then it will definitely help you in your future careers. You can also participate in hackathons where you can solve real-world problems and hone your skills. Sounds really exciting, right? Now, web development allows you to contribute to open source projects. So you can participate in open source programs such as GSOC and Outreachy and others. You can interact with various open source contributors and learn from them. Open source contributions have a powerful impact on their own, and when it comes to a tech career, it's a feather in one's cap if it's on your resume. So this is another very exciting opportunity for you to check out. Okay? Now, this is the most important thing of all, I guess, in trying to learn a new skill. You can earn well from it. Everyone obviously likes to make money, right? Of course, this is one of the best skills that give you a chance to earn money. You can work as a freelance web developer, or you can work for an organization as a web developer. You can create your own startup even. As a student, you can also do internships in startups. You can create your own blog, online store, or whatever. And the best part is that you can do all these things from your home. And like I said earlier, you don't really need that much, just a good computer and good internet. Right? Now, teamwork skills is something that you need to have with web development or as a web developer. It's like any other team sport like cricket, football, hockey, basketball. Web development requires you to work with other units simultaneously so that the website works efficiently and placidly and the product gets done faster. You must have noticed that a successful website consists of front-end developers, back-end developers, testers, even a project manager. They need to be open to suggestions as well as feedback from their fellow mates and need to meet their needs by the deadline so that others don't lag if ever they need anything from you. They all work on the same goal. Therefore, if you want to achieve in making a good web application, good teamwork is a must. With teamwork, you will improve as well as strengthen your skills, not only of yourself, but also of your teammates. So your aim should be to build a team of like-minded people. And finally, you can do self-learning with web development. There is no need for you to go to an institute to learn it. In the world of the internet, there are tons of resources to learn it, and you can learn it at your own pace. In web development, you will learn front-end frameworks, back-end frameworks, programming languages, as well as design patterns, authentications, APIs, deployment, and more. Sorry, I'm giving too much technical terms, but I'm sure you'll be able to learn those with the help of Google. There are no steps that tell you to know, there are no steps that tell you you know everything about web development. It is a continuous learning process. One thing you will find in every successful people is that they have a very good understanding of their work. In simple words, they have a strong grip of self-learning. If you want to be a great developer, or if you want to be really good at what you want to do, obviously you have to be curious and you need to learn new things every day. Don't stop learning, right? Okay, now here's the fun part. I'm sure that this is something that you really think you know, but 10% of the population in the world are the only ones who really know how the web works. And you're lucky enough that I'll be teaching you how the web really works. Okay. So before you can understand how to program the web, you need to understand the back end or the background behind the web. These concepts will help you provide a more holistic understanding of the ecosystem in which you'll be working with, and it will enable you to talk intelligently with other developers about your work. Even though it's not really required, it's something that will help you gain more understanding of of what you're doing. Okay? And later on for troubleshooting. Now, let's go first to the internet. How does the internet work? The internet is the backbone of the web, the technical infrastructure that makes the web possible. At its most basic, the internet is a large network of computers which communicate all together. Its history is somewhat obscure. It began in the 1960s as a U.S. Army-funded research project. Then it evolved into a public infrastructure in the 1980s with the support of many public universities and private companies. The various technologies to support the internet have evolved over time, but the way it works hasn't changed that much. Internet is a way to connect computers all together and ensure that whatever happens, they find a way to stay connected. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's wirelessly using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. All modern computers can sustain any of those connections. For this lesson, we're going to go through physical connection or physical cables, but wireless networks works the same. Okay, so here's computer A trying to connect to computer B and B to A. All right? Sounds simple enough for now. Next. Such a network is not limited to two computers, obviously. You can connect as many computers as you wish. But as the number of computers grow, it gets more complicated quickly. For example, if you're trying to connect 10 computers, like here, okay, you will need 45 cables. And then on each computer, you will need 9 plugs. Now that sounds crazy, and it's going to be difficult to manage. Now, a good thing is we were able to solve a problem for each computer on a network by the use of a router, right? This one. I'm sure some of you have this in your home if you have an internet service provider and you're able to connect to it either wired or wirelessly. It's pretty much the same thing. It works the same way. The router has only one job, right? Like a signaler at a railway station, right? It makes sure that a message sent from a given computer arrives at the right destination computer. So, for example, computer A wants to send a message to computer B. Okay? What happens is computer A sends the message to the router, and then the router forwards the message to computer B, processing the message from computer A. It makes sure that it doesn't go to any other computer but computer B, right? So once we add a router to the system, our network of 10 computers obviously will require less cables. Here it shows 10 cables. And a single plug connects to the router. So the router will have 10 plugs and has 10 cables connecting to it. Right? Sounds easy? Next, purposes. But there are other networks out there, obviously, like your friends' networks, your neighbors' networks, or any other networks. It's not possible to set up cables between your house and the rest of the world. Right? It's going to require a lot of manpower, a lot of money, a lot of labor, right? Now, how do we handle this? Well, there are already existing cables linked to your houses. For example, electric power and telephone. So the telephone infrastructure already connects your house with anyone in the world. So it is the perfect wire. It's the perfect solution to be able to connect to the world. So to connect our network to the telephone infrastructure, we need a special piece of equipment called a modem. Right? This modem turns the information from our network into information manageable by the telephone infrastructure and vice versa. Okay. So here is the router and here is the modem. Okay. Now, so we are connected to the telephone infrastructure. The next step is to send the message from our network to the network that we want to reach. To do that, the our network will need to have or will need to be connected to an internet service provider or an ISP. An ISP is the company that manages some special routers that are all linked together and can also access other ISP routers. So the messages from our network is carried through the network of ISP networks to the destination network. The internet consists of this whole infrastructure of networks. Cool. All right? Now, how about finding computers? How do we find computers? If you want to send a message to a computer, you must specify which specific one. Thus, any computer linked to a network has a unique address. Okay? It's like a house. It needs to have an address. If you want to send a mail to a house, the mail needs to have the address of the house where you want to send it. Makes sense, right? It's the same way with networks. If you want to send a message to a specific computer, the message should have the address of the computer where it needs to go to. Okay. So computers are assigned with IP addresses. IP stands for the Internet Protocol. It's an address made of a series of numbers separated by dots. For example, 192.168.2.0, or this one, 142.250.190.78, right? Now, this makes sense only for computers. It's not going to make sense for us. How do we know that we're sending it to the right network or the right computer? To make things easier for us, we can alias an IP address with a human readable name called a domain name. For example, right, google.com, right? Google.com can be equated to this IP address. How can it be equated to this IP address, Joseph? I'll tell you later on. Okay? Now, let's summarize what we've learned. As you might notice, when we browse the web with a web browser, we usually use the domain name to reach a website. Does that mean the internet and the web are the same thing? No, it's not that simple. As we saw, the internet is a technical infrastructure which allows billions of computers to be connected all together. Among those computers, some computers called web servers can send messages intelligible to web browsers. The internet is the infrastructure, whereas the web is a service built on top of the infrastructure. Make sense? It is worth noting there are several other services built on top of the internet, such as email and IRC or internet relay chat. Okay? So here's the internet, and the web and other infrastructure or other services lie here to be able to communicate to other networks. Okay. Now we see here also the extranet and the intranet. What are they? Intranets are private networks that are restricted to members of a particular organization. They are commonly used to provide a portal for members to securely access shared resources, collaborate, and communicate. For example, an organization's intranet might host web pages for sharing departments or team information, shared drives for managing key documents and files, portals for performing business administration tasks, and collaboration tools like wikis, discussion boards, and messaging systems. Now, extranets are very similar to intranets, except they open all or part of a private network to allow sharing and collaboration with other organizations. So here is the intranet that is reserved for just one organization. And here's the extranet, which can be reserved for an organization, but may have different departments that uses an intranet. Does that make sense? So extranets are very simple to intranets, except they open all or part of a private network to allow sharing and collaboration with other organizations, like I said. They are typically used to safely and securely share information with clients and stakeholders who work closely with the business. Often their functions are similar to those provided by an intranet information file sharing, collaboration, discussion boards, and so on. Both intranets and extranets run on the same kind of infrastructure as the internet, and use the same protocols. They can therefore be accessed by authorized members from different physical locations. All right.